And we will get started with the meeting. So I wanted to introduce some special guests today. We have the cheer team with us. So if I could ask the cheer team to come on up here, and they just wanted to share some information. They are a brand new club this year. So if you wanted to go ahead and address the audience and this camera too, we have in person and virtual.
Hi, my name is Raven. I am currently the director at Cheer IMSA, and everyone's going to introduce herself from right to left.
Hi, my name is Elena Johnson, and I'm one of the coaches.
And I'm Kaya Powell. I'm one of the cheer coaches as well.
So what exactly is Cheer at IMSA? Last year, 4 students and I have built an organization where we can have a cheer team. IMSA isn't known to have a cheer team, but we were able to build it. So this year we have our amazing coaches right over here, and we are currently doing a fundraiser selling holiday ornaments for $5. The money for these ornaments will go towards practice jerseys and towards competition, so we can become IHSA approved, and that means we will become a sport for next year. If you all want to purchase ornaments here in person, they're going to be at the back table over there for $5. But if you are not here in person and you would like to purchase an ornament, you can go to your email and look up IMSA Cheer, and you can place a pre-order in your email, and you can get your ornaments customized. Your student can come, or your child can come pick it up from the school, and you can give the money to them, and they can pay for it here. Yep, and send it home to you for Christmas. Thank you for having us.
Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Well, those online, as Raven said, that you can send money with your child, they can pick up the ornaments. If you want to fill out the form, we sent an email out yesterday, the day before.
Yes.
To all the parents. There's a link on there. If you want it personalized, you can upload a picture. We can put the picture in there as well. Otherwise, you'll just get the ornament, and there'll be like a template that you can cut out the picture, pick a picture and cut it out and put it up yourself. We appreciate your time. Thank you. We're really excited as coaches to be a part of the cheer team. Our work at this point is all volunteer, but we're very excited to have the cheer team here at IMSA.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, we do have the emails that are sent out through the IMSA distribution list on the PAC website as well, if you're not able to find it within your own emails. So first we have updates from the executive board. So for mine, update is really just encouraging you, if you have any feedback on our PAC sessions, to go ahead and scan that QR code or send us an email at info@imsapac.org. Let us know what you'd like to see in our upcoming sessions. And just a reminder that January's PAC session will be virtual, all virtual. So we will not have the hybrid in-person and Zoom. It will all be Zoom. And the information on the dates will be later on in this slide now. So next, I'd like to call on Jen Walk, our treasurer, for her updates.
Good morning. You can advance the next slide, please. And then the next one after that. I'm Jen Mock. You can always reach me at treasurer@imsapac.org. Our financial report for November, we had $44,062 in checking, $23,000 reserves for a total cash asset of about $67,000. We did spend a large chunk of money last month on 2 round-trip bus fares for 3 routes, which was about $7,000, and some other miscellaneous expenses. Our income last month was from the cultural show donations and single bus tickets, and some small fundraisers that we did, I think, with Panera, which didn't produce a lot of fundraising. So I'm not sure if we'll continue to do that or not. So if you will, and again, the balance for the checking account matched $44,062. So if you'll go on to the next screen for me. Just some reminders. It was great meeting the cheer team this morning. And just a reminder that if we receive anything from the student clubs, we will put that information on our calendar too with the deadline. So all you need to do is check our calendar and click on the calendar event, and it'll give you the information that was sent to us via email and any links that email contains. So it's really easy just to check our calendar for any upcoming deadlines. And if we get information from clubs, we will certainly put it on there. And then if you need help syncing our PAC calendar or any one of our sub calendars to your personal calendar, reach out to techhelp@imsapac.org. They should be able to help you sync your personal calendar to the PAC calendar or any one of our sub calendars. If you'll go to the next screen for me, please. And that's it. Thanks all. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Jen. Okay, next we have updates from our senior parent representative, and Piyush, are you on the call? Okay. To the junior parent representative next. Matri, are you on the call? I'm sorry.
Hey, good morning,
Yes,
Maria. Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
okay, go ahead, Matri.
Oh, okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. And thank you for joining in. My name is Maitri Ghosh, and I am your junior parent rep. I am excited to meet you all on Monday, December 12th, for our last junior rep meeting for the year. Last month, we talked about, some of the questions that were surfaced up were, college readiness, preparedness, questions around PSAT retakes. I think we shared those information around. You would see your PSAT scores for your students that came out this week. That was a question that was raised as well last time. For Monday's meeting, I am planning on discussing how can you prepare yourself during your winter break for the upcoming spring college session with your CAC partners. I will briefly touch upon that. I believe there will be communications out from the CAC office as well, which is very structured and detailed oriented. However, I am happy to discuss any kind of preparedness that would help you to get into the winter break, and prepare yourself coming out of winter break. So those were my topics that I had in mind. And of course, we'll have a good discussion with parents who like to attend these sessions. Last time we gauged the interest of these meetings, and we found out that parents who attended do find value for these kind of meetings. So we will continue with the cadence. I believe that is all for me, and I'm excited again to meet you all on December 12th. The invite is out there on the Facebook page, 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., 9:15 actually. So that's about it. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Matri. And then next we have updates from our sophomore parent.
Hello, this is Rashmi Palmadai. I'm the sophomore parent representative. Good morning, everyone. So this last time we met, we had some questions. We compiled some questions for the CAC team and the academic team. They will be shared later on in this presentation. As such, I don't have too much except to remind all the sophomore parents that the meeting on 12/6 was the last meeting for the year. So the next time we'll meet will be in January after the holidays, and after the, I think maybe about mid-January is when the next meeting is planned. So you can check the calendar, and I'll try and send out Facebook reminders as well as a quick email reminder. So so for the sophomore parents, if there are any further questions after this, session, please just email me directly, and we'll try and get them answered before the break. And if not, I think we'll meet anyway after the break, and we can resume our sessions. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Rashmi. And then next we have updates from our committees. Our first update is from our Friday Fest committee.
Next slide, please. Good morning, everyone. We just wanted to let you know that the next Friday Fest event will be held on Friday, January 27th. Enjoy your children while they're home, and we will send out more information to the IMSA families in early January.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So as always, if you have any questions about Friday Fest, you can reach them at fridayfest@imsapac.org. And next is regarding our hospitality committee. So we do have a help wanted sign here. So if any of you are available to help out with the hospitality committee, it really is a lot of fun. So it's low time commitment as far as helping out with the PAC session. So if only you could see these lovely faces that are here with us today that are munching on some goodies. So really the hospitality committee coordinates refreshments for the in-person PAC sessions and Teacher Appreciation Week. So really the biggest need is for someone to be here to help set up the refreshments, because a lot of times we can have it delivered. So coordinating that, and then also Teacher Appreciation Week, which is the first week in May. So we do have a group of volunteers for usually for Teacher Appreciation Week. So really for hospitality committee, we just need a group that will help coordinate some of those activities that happen around that week. So please email us at info@imsapac.org to help out with the hospitality committee. So even if you feel like, oh, I can't do it every month, even if you're able to help out 1 month, and we have a group of people that are able to help out, you know, different months of the year, that will be very, very helpful. So thanks in advance. Next, we have updates from our multicultural committee. Or is it?
Yeah, Ellen is on the.
She's on the call.
Yes, okay.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Mei-Ling Lu. Go to next slide, please. Oh, okay, it's already here. And I'm one of the Multicultural Committee co-chairs. And last time we had the first culture show, and Margaret is going to give you some update. Then I'm going to give you some of the future culture show events coming up. Margaret, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm co-chair with Marion. So I want to give you guys an update for the Diwali and Haranga show that was still last month. We talked about the Friday show at the last PAC meeting. So we didn't, Saturday, we had a meeting here. So for the parent show that happened on Saturday, it was really a full house. So the auditorium was really cool. And it was a great ambiance with the students coming there supporting each other and the parents. So it was really great that day. I was there, and that's one of the pictures that I took, showing the participants how cool it was all the way in the back. So that was on Saturday, and I really want to thank all the parents that came in person and those that also watched them via Zoom. So please continue helping students, because they'd love to see that, knowing that the effort is worthwhile. The next slide. Okay.
So
Amen.
coming up, there's a special Christmas festival, the Latino community, called the Noche Buena celebration. So they are thinking to have one before the end of this semester, which is December 15 or December 16, because the time this tight are very close, right, to the end of the semester. And also we were thinking just provide them some dessert instead of have the food. So we're gonna meet them again to see exactly what they need, and also figure out how much budget we can give to them. Then the next slide, please. Maria, next slide. The coming up second culture show will be in February 3rd and February 4th. And with this time, so we will try to plan early and to come up with the food donation. But it's the same issue with the Friday Fest, because Friday Fest is January 27th. So it's only 1 week apart. But no, we still want to parents who can be able to support the student, because this time probably we're talking about have the student dinner on Saturday, so parents don't have to come twice, right? Because last time, like you have to drop off the food on Friday, then attending the show on Saturday. So it will be better to arrange on the same day. But we'll have more update. You know, we plan to have a Zoom meeting soon with the student organization. So that's our update. Back to you, Maria.
One more.
Okay, Marguerite has one more
Okay,
update.
Melly, I'm gonna add one more onto it. I know that for the Friday Fest, it's already planned a year in advance. As the Friday Fest has been planning, if you can take in consideration the cultural show for the students so that we don't put too much demand from the parents to help out, that would be great. Also in addition, I mean, Melon and I, we just found out about this new upcoming Christmas holiday that the Latino want to celebrate, which is the Noche Buena. So, and I'm thinking that there could be more cultural show that the students want parents to be involved. So probably also keep in mind, I don't know if there's going to be a list coming up, or that's something that maybe the diversity department, we could talk to them so we could know ahead of time instead of having these things spring on the parents on a co-chair to try to quickly come up with something. So that's something that I thought about. I mean, we haven't talked about it, but I thought about it that we should, you know, kind of get a list and see, because we know there's so many cultural going on every month. And the student, now that PAC is involved in helping them, so we need to plan that ahead to know what holiday is there, what we can do to help the student, the academic year. So that's my.
Thank you for the update. So as I pointed out, we know that there's a lot of different opportunities for parents to get involved and to donate. So please don't feel the pressure to have to donate every single time. But we do encourage, if you are able to, you know, choose those times that you're able to donate. Every little bit helps. So we do want to, you know, spread the love, but we also want to make sure that each of these events are covered. So just keep your eye out for those emails that come out on different ways that you can help out. Okay, and next we have updates for Senior Banquet.
Hi, this is Jen. I'll report for Senior Banquet. So we have launched our Senior Banquet Committee. One of our new chairs is Christine, and she is going to be one of the chairs and the communications director. She is not available to present today as she is traveling, but we will go ahead and present the updates for the Senior Banquet this month for her. If you'll advance the next screen, please. So our committee members are June, she's still a chair. Christine, she's a co-chair communications director. Robin is going to be our meeting organizer and scheduler. Vipani's on the decorations team. Linda's on the decorations team. Susan's decorations. Sarita's on decorations. Sabrina's senior gifts and decorations. Julie's going to run our local errands for us. I am the registrar and the treasurer, and Alex is a recent volunteer too. So we've got a good group of volunteers working on the Senior Banquet this year. So it should be a great event. If you'll advance the next slide for me, please. So the Senior Banquet again will be held on June 2nd. The formal photo opportunities from 5 to 6 with the ISP students. Dinner and the program and dancing will be from 6 to 11:30. And again, it'll be at the Embassy Suites this year. If you'll advance the next screen for me. And well, actually, this is an old slide, but I'd like to announce that our senior tickets are now on sale. If you'll go to the Senior Banquet tab on the IMSA PAC calendar, you'll be able to click a button and launch the registration portal. Tickets will be available until April 1st, and I am strongly encouraging everybody to RSVP either with a yes or with a no before April 1st. I know last year a lot of our time was spent trying to track down students and families who have not RSVP'd, and we do guarantee that that student has one seat for themselves and for 2 guests, and if they're not attending, then we can put those seats on the wait list but a lot of our time is spent tracking down those families. So if you please be courteous and either RSVP with the banquet before April 1st, that would be fantastic. Extra tickets are available right now on first come, first serve. So if you know that you have family members traveling in from locations from afar and they are attending the senior banquet, please register those early. Once those extra seats are sold out, the portal will not allow you to purchase any more than 1 student and 2 guest seats. Our next senior banquet meeting is next Saturday at 9 o'clock. If you are interested in helping us in any of the avenues for senior banquet, if you're local, especially and enjoy decorating and can help us out that Thursday or Friday, please join our meeting. If you'll go to the next slide. We are looking for a volunteer to help with the senior slideshow. We are asking for student pictures, progression pictures if possible, but not required, and 1 family picture too you can include if you'd like. This helper will be just managing the 2023 photos account. And what this person will be doing will be labeling photos as they come in and putting them into categories. So we can easily put those into a slideshow. And we have another volunteer that converts our slideshow into a video. That video will be released to all senior parent families after the senior banquet so they can enjoy during their own celebrations, private celebrations at their home during graduation or after graduation. Those photo deadlines, that is a dead hard line. If we don't receive your photos by April 1st, we cannot guarantee that your photos will be in the slideshow. And even if you don't have all of them right now, please submit what you have. So we have something. Again, a lot of our time is consumed by trying to track down students and families to try to get this information from them. It is cumbersome. So if you could advance to the next slide for me, please. And that's all from us. If you have any questions, you can always email banquet@imsapac.org. And next month, the committee chairs will be presenting for the Senior Banquet Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all the volunteers. So as Jen had pointed out, this committee, Senior Banquet Committee, is really a great committee to get involved in, whether or not you have a little bit of time or a lot of time, because they do need help, not just preparing for the banquet, but even the night before and the night of the banquet. So if you're able to help out in any capacity, again, email them at banquet@imsapac.org. And next we have updates for Student Life Committee.
Okay, Susan couldn't be here today, but she asked me to thank all of the wing parents for all of the wonderful November events. And also a big thank you to the RCs who are working in conjunction with them. This month, wing parents are focusing on decorating, having wing dinners, doing crafts, and having cookie study breaks prior to the exam.
Thank you very much. And thanks to all those wing parents again. Okay, next, we have updates from our IMSA representatives. And the first update we'll have is from Student Council.
Hello, I'm Atrey. I'm the 07 Hall Sender, and I'm a junior this year. Sorry, my voice is a little bad. Anyway, so for StudCo updates, the first one's mental health. The mental health guide has been put up around campus, posted on Facebook, and sent out via email. So all students should know how to access the resources available to them. Just a reminder that if your student is planning on taking a mental health day, they are required to either ask their parent to fill out their form or their RCs to fill out the form. And for Cars on Campus, the application form is currently being created, and we're aiming to start the pilot program at the beginning of the second semester. A little more information about that. It's just a pilot program to see if this is like a viable program for future years, and if like for downstate students, if this would be more convenient than taking like downstate buses or stuff like that. And then Presence is an online system that's basically like a centralized location for all club information, because like as your students might know, there are a lot of emails going out about clubs and events and stuff like that. So StudCo is currently encouraging all clubs to update their Presence page in an attempt to reduce the spam of emails that students get. And then for Lexington, Lexington will be having a finals breakfast to serve students with yummy pancakes before their tests. And yeah, can you go to the next slide, please? And I know that PAC is currently like really, they have a lot of like pressure for food, but this is specifically for like 07 parents. And if you have a student in 07, or if you just have extra time, 07 is holding a finals dinner for the hall because a lot of students end up like missing the Lexington dinner times due to studying. And this is just like encourage students to eat before their finals and just like have some fun bonding before their tests. So if you're looking for, or if you are willing to donate, you can contact 07 staff at imsa.edu. This will have information about what types of food you can donate. And then I think you guys already mentioned this in your meeting, but Asia and Alma Latina, the two culture show clubs, were wondering how the timeline would work with the Friday Fest and culture show, but I think you guys already covered this, so we can just ignore that. Anyway, those are all of StudCo's updates. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for student council? No? Thanks for all you're doing and thank you for the updates as well. Okay, hold on. There is an update from Transportation Committee. Jill from the Transportation Committee wanted everyone to know that they're available if there's any parents that have downstate transportation questions. So I will open that up right now if there's anybody who has any questions about the downstate transportation.
Thanks, Maria. And I would like to add that we do have a few remaining single seat rides available for the winter break. So if there are families who didn't sign up for the full package of downstate bus rides, but might want to take advantage of hopping on the bus for the winter holiday, to reach out to us and we can discuss a single ride.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And again, thank you to the Transportation Committee for all that you're doing to make sure that the students are able to get home for these extended weekends with this mode of transportation. So again, if you have any questions for them, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute and ask during this meeting. So thank you, Jill.
Thanks, Maria.
Welcome. Okay, so next we have updates from Dr. Comfort Akwaji Anderson.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, thank you so much for this opportunity, Maria. Hi, everyone. I'm virtual today. I'm out of state, but I'm glad to be with you all, and I'm going to I prepared, some updates for you. And Maria, I know that you sent an email to Ms. Berger and she and I are going to tag team to address some of those questions, some of which I'm going to cover in my updates right now. So I'm going to start with graduation because that's a big thing. So June 3rd at 3:30 p.m. at Northern Illinois University, that's where graduation is going to happen. The cap and gown orders were due to Huff Jones. So if you missed that opportunity to put in that order, please contact them. Their number is 800-837-4235. I can put it in the chat if you like for me to. Otherwise, if you got it, that's fine. You just let me know. If you require financial assistance for purchasing the cap and gown, please contact Anne Donahue in the business office, to inquire about eligibility, because we want to make sure that our students all have caps and gowns. The senior diploma form will be sent in a few weeks. Please use that form to confirm the student's legal name and or provide information for corrections. So be on the lookout for that. We will be sending it soon. A meeting with NIU will take place early next year, so in January. Additional information, including ticket information, because I know that's something you all usually want to know will be shared at that time. The second update that I wanted to provide was about mastery grading. I've gotten a lot of feedback on that, and the academic PAC committee and I had a conversation about that. So before I move forward, I just want to remind everyone, mastery grading, mastery-based grading is connected to clearly defined learning expectations so that teachers and parents know what, for example, with far more precision, I would say, what it is that a student has actually learned or failed to learn. So I'm going to repeat that part. It's about, knowing or having more precision on what a student has actually learned or failed to learn. That's what mastery grading is about. Several faculty are using some form of mastery grading in their classes. And remember, we are a learning lab, and so we continue to engage in mastery grading, and it looks different sometimes in some different courses. It's not unequitable, it just may look different. Most teachers are either giving retakes, or they're no longer penalizing students for assignments that are submitted late and things like that. So it takes different forms, but the main focus is, like I said earlier, for us to really understand what a student has actually learned versus what they haven't learned, so that we can help them learn what it is that they need to learn. That's the goal. So I get a lot of feedback, and there are a lot of questions from you all about the expectations for the learning and for the moving and learning course. Last year, I actually did a presentation on that course to explain and answer the same questions that I got right now. So I'm going to answer some of them, and if need be, I will bring the two teachers and we can actually do another presentation so that everyone can be more comfortable. But I really appreciate the questions you're asking. So to clarify, the grades for moving and learning does not impact a student college admission. Okay. And one of the things that's going to be super important is for us all to understand the rubric that they use. Part of mastery grading, like I said, if we want to really understand with precision what a student actually knows, it necessitates using a rubric. And a lot of times a rubric has, some rubrics may have 2 items on it, or it may be 4. So in moving and learning, a 1 means something. And I'm not going to say there's something right now because there are different things that they focus on. So the rubric that's used tells you precisely what the student has learned, understood, or what the student hasn't learned or hasn't understood. So I encourage you to please touch base with the teachers and just sit down with them and ask them to share the rubric with you, because the rubric will really explain what it is that the students understand or don't understand or need to learn. So I'm going to stop and ask if there's any questions related to that before I move forward, because I know you all had lots and lots of questions related to that. Are there specific questions I can answer related to moving and learning right now before I finish my updates?
Hello, this is Rashmi. I'm actually asking some of the questions that were raised during the sophomore parent rep meeting earlier this week.
Okay.
So thank you very much for answering these. One of the questions was asked by the parents was, can we see a course plan and expectations outlined in Canvas for moving and learning? And the reason is there seems to be a distinct difference in the level of detail covered in homework versus what's seen on tests.
Okay, so I know for a fact that the teachers have their syllabi on Canvas. So if you can't find it, have access to that, talk to your student or talk to the teacher. but it should be there. That's an expectation for us, for all teachers.
Okay, thank you. And this, just to get clarification, is moving and learning the grade part of the cumulative GPA, or is, like you said, it's not considered as part of GPA for college applications?
Not for college applications, but again, moving and learning is a course that we offer. And again, I'm going to emphasize it's not a PE class, because part of the challenge we have is, and I've had, you know, conversations and emails, phone calls from some of you parents. It is very different than a PE class in a public school. So I think one of the challenges is either you parents or students are assuming that or equating that to a PE class. And so we call it a wellness class for a reason. So that's some additional information that I want to add. So please remember that. So again, the grades, of course, it's a course that the students take. They take it for a grade, but that grade doesn't necessarily compute for college admission. So those are two separate things. And the CACs will talk to you all more about that too when they do their presentation later in regards to grades and GPA. Did that answer the question, or do you have additional questions?
I'll leave it up to the sophomore parents to ask for further clarifications, but thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yep. Send the question to us. Okay, what else?
So Dr. Akwaji, you know, you have the option to remove moving and learning from the transcripts sent out to the colleges, because IMSA does not calculate GPAs, right? As I understand.
Correct. So we don't calculate GPA, so we don't remove and remove courses just because we don't calculate GPA. So, because remember, colleges, and I know this is contrary to popular beliefs, colleges are not just looking for a GPA to admit students. It's a comprehensive approach. So again, the CAPS will answer some of those specific questions, but thank you for asking that question.
I have a quick question. It's not so much about the moving and learning, it's about how PowerSchool is calculating the average in PowerSchool. So what the teachers have listed as percentages for grade mastery is not showing up on the correct level 1, 2, 3 in PowerSchool. I guess that's my biggest concern about in the system. How is that eventually, because we're coming down to the last 2 weeks, how are we going to make sure that is actually figured correctly?
Okay, so remember, there are a lot of things that are taken into consideration when you're looking at the grade. One of the things that mastery grading is helping us to do is when you do mastery grading, you have to separate the cognitive and academic behaviors from the other behaviors. And so what you see doesn't necessarily, all of those things are not showing up there. So PowerSchool is doing what it's supposed to do. It may not look that way, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. So if there's specific questions about a specific course or about specific entry, please let us know so that we can look into that.
Does anybody else have any questions for Dr. Akwaji Anderson about the moving and learning courses? Okay.
And one thing that I can do, again, like I said, you all know that in the past, I actually did the presentation and explained all these things for moving and learning because our teachers were not able to be there. But if the sophomore parents, because I know they're new to IMSA, if there's a need for us to do that just for the sophomore parents, we'll be more than happy to do that. So please encourage everyone to keep sending us questions. We know that you have a lot of questions and it's okay for you to keep asking. All right, okay, go ahead, Maria.
I was going to say, we can put a link there of that portion where you cover learning if you'd like, when we send out the recording.
That sounds good.
Hey, Maria, this is Maitri. Really quick note on Dr. Akwaji Anderson's, thought on moving and learning for parents who are wondering. I'm a junior parent and I can attest to it. That moving and learning is really indeed not like your regular PE class. If you look into Canvas, it talks about, great articles around anatomy and physiology, managing stress, and so on and so forth. So if you're really wanting to showcase this course in its, dimension that it is presented, I think that's a great way to feature it as well. Just another thought of, presenting moving and learning.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Yep. Okay. All right. I have a few other things. So let me go get through them. And again, ask questions. You put questions in the chat, or you can ask when I'm done. I had mentioned to you all in the past that we were establishing a testing center. And again, this is also tied into this idea of mastery grading, because we want to make sure that, again, we understand what students know and what they still need to know, learn, or still need to learn. So we have a testing center. If a student misses a test or they have an assignment that they need to make up, we can accommodate that. By that, I mean the student can come to us. We have space for them to do that. The teachers just give us what it is they need for the students to do, and then we do that. So as opposed to the student having a zero, earning a zero because they didn't take a test, we are doing this because we are actually, this is part of our operationalizing equity, because equity is about giving people what they need. So if a student, needs some time outside of the classroom to take their test, so that we know what they know, that's why we're doing this. Because if we just give them a zero, that doesn't tell us what they know, which is what mastery grading is about. So that's why we're doing this. So we are very excited about that. We have a schedule for that has been sent out. So if you haven't seen it, I'll be more than happy to share that with you, Maria, so we can share it with everyone. But it's out there. I also wanted to address evening activities. We are in the process of hiring an evening activities monitor. We actually have 5 candidates. So that person would, for example, cover the fitness center hours, the evening and weekends. And I know some of you have asked questions of me and Ms. Berger in regards to that. So yes, we are in the process of doing that. We have 5 candidates we're, interviewing, and we'll get that done soon. That person would also cover the evening study hours in the IRC. So we are really excited about that. This is something that Ms. Berger and I have been very, very intentional about. We had someone in the past, and that person got a different job. And so we're working very hard to get that filled. So I wanted to share that with you. You all have also, I hope by now, seen the final exam schedule. And that is tied to another question that you all asked. And again, Ms. Berger and I would tag team to address your question, for example, about buses and about whether or not instead of, having a half day, we change when the buses leave. But anyway, we'll get to that part. But it's tied to the final exam schedule because our policy is that, of course, students leave 24 hours after their finals, and students have, different finals, but we know that all of our students would at least have to take a math final, and the math final finals, I think they'll be on Monday, and the finals, of course, the last one is at 5 p.m. So we will have the conversation about all of that because these things are tied together. But if you have not seen the final exam schedule, ask your student, but we have it published so that you all have access to it. Anyway, so that's that. And then intercession. We have, of course, we've shared a lot of information with you all. Some of you are actually doing some of the intercession sessions. Some of those sessions in the past, they've either been on campus. We've either done intercession completely on campus or completely virtual. We haven't been in a situation where, we're doing a little bit of both. So I have also gotten questions, and so has Ms. Berger. Well, the questions are directed to the both of us in regards to if my student doesn't need to be on campus, for intercession? Why do they need to be on campus? My answer to that question is, it depends on the expectations and requirements for the particular intercession. I have not looked to see what the requirements of every single intercession session is. So we will respond to that question, but we can't give you that answer right this minute in regards to whether or not your students should or should not be on campus. So I promise that we'll look into that and we'll answer your question. So I think those are the things that I wanted to provide you with input on. Oh, I think there's one more thing that I just came to mind. I think there was a question about multivariate calculus. And the question was whether or not students get credit for that, I think, if I remember correctly, and the answer is yes. So those are the things that I wanted to cover. If you have a question that I can answer right now, let me know. Otherwise, Maria, how should we proceed?
Okay. So first of all, yes, if anybody has any questions for Dr. Akwaji Anderson, and again, her area oversees anything that's academic with the college and academic counselors, but as she pointed out, they will be having a session right after this. There are speaker sessions, so if you have any questions for the CACs, they will be joining us a little bit later. But if you have any questions for her regarding academics, those types of topics, please feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself right now. Okay.
When are they posting the actual classes that the kids are in for intercession?
I believe
Okay.
that was sent by email via Dr. Paul sent that email last evening. If you may,
Yeah.
please check your email.
Correct. Thank you so much. Yep, I was just going to say that. Yeah. Yep.
So the students should have the email, correct? They were sent to the students?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so last night, emails were sent out with their schedule.
Yep.
Yeah, student and parents as well.
Yep. Everyone should have that information. Yes.
Okay. And if they did not, if the parents and the students didn't receive it, they need to reach out to Mr. Gay, is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Would you mind putting his email in the chat, please?
Sure. Let's see. All right. Let me.
Thank
I
you.
will do that in a quick minute. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions while we're doing this?
Well, the chat will stay open, so if you do have any questions, Dr. Akwaji Anderson, feel free to put it in the chat. And also Dr. Akwaji Anderson, feel free to send me any links that you would like included when I send out the email with the recording. So any of
Okay.
those topics.
All righty.
Great. All right. Okay, thank you. So next we will have updates by Ms. Katie Berger.
Good morning. Where's the best place to stand so
Hey,
that they
right
can
there.
hear?
We actually
Okay.
have the technical issues.
Ooh,
like-
resolved. I had to bring a
Yes.
list of things today. Normally I just kind of talk, but I brought a list today. So welcome to those of you who are joining us in the room and to those who are joining us virtually. It looks like we have almost 70 people participating virtually, which is wonderful. It's December. It's the end of the first semester already, and it feels like it flew by. At least it does for me and my team. Hopefully you all are feeling the same way and you're ready to receive your students back home for the winter break, less than 2 weeks away. I do want to start off and just apologize because I heard from some of my colleagues that some of you all have reached out and that we've been calling and we haven't been able to get through. We have had some people out of the office, myself included, due to illness, due to some things with family. You know, Minerva is normally kind of the operator in our office answering the phone, and she has been out for some family reasons for about 2 weeks. So we did resolve that problem as far as the phone wasn't properly being forwarded to another colleague. So if that resulted in frustration or a delay for any of you, we just want to apologize for that. And hopefully you've gotten the answers that you need to different things. We will have a student affairs newsletter coming out next week with a lot of information just related to the extended break, because we know that that's what's on everybody's mind, at least when it comes to the residential component. So look out for that next week. I know Dr. Kwaji Anderson mentioned the final exam schedule. We do ask that all students depart campus within 24 hours of their last final exam. And I know we close the halls at 5 o'clock whenever we close, so that Wednesday, December 21st, the halls will close at 5 p.m. However, you are welcome to pick your child up anytime before that, and really we encourage that, because some students will be done much earlier than Wednesday, and so please come. We do ask that you coordinate with the RC your departure time. So when it comes to the extended checkout, students will have some kind of housekeeping responsibility, and there are typically a few extra things that we ask them to do to ensure that their room is in the appropriate state prior to their departure. We found some interesting things when we did walkthroughs of rooms leading into the November Thanksgiving extended, like bags of chips that were open with chips spilled on the floor and things like that, that we just don't want going into a multiple week break. And so we really are going to ask every student to sign up with the time that they're going to check out with their RC. And we ask our RCs to be as available as possible so that there's some convenience offered to you. And essentially for multiple days, they're kind of checking people out every day, all day, different times. So as much as they can plan and coordinate, it helps them kind of balance their personal life while also serving you and your students well, to make sure that we are ready to go when it comes to that. If your child takes medication that we hold in our health office and we dispense in the morning through the health office, or in the evenings or on the weekends through the RCs, Nurse Angie is asking for you to just give her some information about when you are coming to pick up your student, so she has the medication prepared and ready to go for you. So she has the form, and if you haven't seen it yet, don't worry, we're going to send it out again next week. If you can fill that out this coming week so we can plan accordingly. Again, we want to make this an easy process for you in checking your student out, so that information helps us be prepared. If you are picking your child up to check out for winter break, excuse me, you are going to be able to gain access to Access Road, where that arm is, as long as you have your IMSA issued ID badge. So whether that be the one like this that you have and use always, which I think many of you have, or come to the main building and get that credential, that temporary credential. And so just make sure that you have that with you. Let me make sure my list. The academy itself will be physically closed from the evening of Thursday, December 22nd until 7 a.m. on Tuesday, January 3rd. Make sense? So nobody's going to be here. So nobody's going to answer the phone. Nobody's going to be here from the evening of Thursday, December 22nd until the morning of Tuesday, January 3rd at 7 a.m. Okay. And then that Sunday, the 8th, is when the halls will reopen for your students to return. From our standpoint, if your student is all online for intercession and you want to keep them home and have that extra time with them, that's fine with us. We're not going to have anything that they're required to do in the evenings residentially. During that week of intercession, we know people are kind of here, there, everywhere during intercession, and that's okay. So as Dr. Kwaji Anderson said, if you have a requirement for your intercession course to physically be here for some component of that course, then yeah, we want you to physically be here. But if you are all virtual, all online, and it works better for your family to stay home a little longer, that's okay by us. There are some study sessions happening in the next few days that are hosted by different members of the IMSA team. Today, there's one hosted by Ms. Amy Keck, and I understand PAC is purchasing pizza for that one. So thank you to PAC, because we got to keep our students fed. Cafeteria is going to do some fun meals for them too. I think you've seen a few emails about these review sessions that are hosted by different people. So definitely check those out. I missed something. This is why I have to actually look at my list instead of just talk. Dr. Kwaji Anderson mentioned this. Marie had shared with us a question about the downstate bus and the departure time. So the downstate bus at this point for winter break is scheduled to leave at 2:30 on Wednesday, December 21st. And that is something that we, in partnership with PAC, and I don't know why I say partnership, PAC really does all the work. PAC really coordinates that bus. We have to make up final exams that Wednesday morning, which is why the bus is departing in the afternoon. We can certainly follow up and look at who is on the list. It's less than 2 weeks out. I'm not sure how much flexibility we have in changing times with the bus company or with families who perhaps already kind of made arrangements. But we'll follow up with the bus coordinators and just see what does that look like going forward. There's always this balancing act of contractual agreements with an outside vendor working with PAC, accommodating the class schedule, and especially right now, making sure that everybody is able to really wrap up their fall semester courses. So I'm not sure at this point in time if there's really anything we can do about the winter break one, but I think it's a larger conversation, like a philosophical conversation about how do we want to approach this going forward. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and we will follow up. As far as safety and security goes, there was a question about the intruder and just an update related to that. So there's good news and bad news. I mean, the good news is that that person has not been cited on our campus again, and that, you know, we continue to stay in contact with APD. We don't see any kind of concern with that individual. So in some ways, no news is good news with that. I'm going to be honest with you. We had a student this week that let in four people that were members of our campus community, and they did it right behind security, a door that nobody should be going in anyway. And so security was able to intervene. Staff was able to intervene peaceably. We really do need your help in just continuing to have conversations with our students about if somebody's supposed to be here, they'll go to the main entrance and they'll do it the right way. And you teach your children to be polite. You teach your children to open the door and be welcoming and all of that. And we need to kind of find a middle ground with that right here and right now in our school setting. So as your students are home for winter break, if you can continue to engage in that conversation with them, we would really appreciate it. We continue to do our due diligence and working with outside organizations to get some feedback. We're looking at a safety audit and some things that we can do to really make sure that we're continuing to be safe and smart and follow best practices. But the biggest piece we need right now is that community support and that community buy-in. We just can't let in people that don't belong here. They got to go to the main entrance. Another friendly reminder for your students, if you wouldn't mind sharing it as we do as well. Some of you have noticed if you drive down Access Road, our students like to walk down Access Road in the morning, at night, in the middle of the day, sometimes with no coat when it's freezing. But at times they're not totally aware of their surroundings. They got their earbuds in, or there's like a mob of them, you know, like there's 20 students and they're walking and you're like slowly driving behind them, right? Does anybody else have this experience? And so we just need, we're trying to remind our students to be a little bit more aware of their surroundings and just be careful around Access Road because the road, right? People are driving. So just some of those things that we could use your help in reminding our students of would be really positive. Yes.
And speaking of that road, when the IMSA is going to fix that road really, because it's really
bumpy, yeah.
Crack in and out, and
I
know, well, they should get funded to fix that road.
I'll mention that to our facilities team. My big thing right now is trying to get some more lights past 07.
Yes.
Over there. Yeah, exactly. So I'll add that to the list of things. Yeah.
Please don't tell them anything, their kids. Let them do whatever they want. We are actually coming their space, so that's pretty fine. They got their earbuds.
Well, we need our students to be aware though, because they don't just walk on Access Road.
Yeah.
They walk to Orchard. They walk all kinds of places, right? And so we need our students to demonstrate some level of awareness. And there are things that are certainly more okay in your home or on your property, in our home and on our property. But we've had a lot of students who, and I'm not joking about this, like students who will leave and go to college and they'll say, you know, when I was at IMSA and I had a meeting, I was in the library, I would just leave all my stuff in the library and I would just go to my I did that. And somebody said, I keep back in my stuff was there. And so I think that there's always a balancing act. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny, right? It's just an act of how do we make sure that we are teaching our students some life skills because they're growing up, they're young adults. And so we need to make sure that there's this balance of learning to kind of be aware of your surroundings and learning that, well, this is a very comfortable place and we hope it's a comfortable place. It's also still a public place. And how do we balance that? So it's always a balancing act. Let me see what else I have on my list. Oh yeah.
And also, if you could have a sign, because it's not a two-way street, right?
It's not.
Because sometimes when I'm coming in, there are other cars pulling out. Especially when like, okay, now you gotta squeeze over to the side and let them go through. So probably they could get a sign that is a one-way.
Yeah.
So you come in and you go out.
Yeah, well, I've got a whole list of signage that we're in the process of ordering. I'm gonna steal Maria's pen. I left mine in the back and I gotta write this stuff down. We actually, that's part of the reason that those gates got put in at Access Road is because we had a number of people that would come from the lot on the west side and they would drive the wrong way down Access Road. And so that is actually one of the reasons that those
Still
dates were
doesn't
added.
stop, just last week, I saw coming in, I see somebody coming out
Yeah. Oh my
somehow.
gosh, it's always something.
There's a question in the chat asking, some intercessions are in person at local places at, for example, in Chicago. Will IMSA provide transportation to this similar to SIRs?
Yes, IMSA, Dr. Kwasi Anderson should probably be the person to respond to this. In my experience, we have always provided transportation for any of the intercessions that are going into the city or to other places locally here in Aurora. Dr. Kwasi Anderson, can you confirm that that continues to be the practice?
Absolutely. Yep, that's what we're planning on doing.
Okay, I have one more thing. Let me just plug this really quick. I was asked by a member of my team to please plug the senior auction. So as you may know, our senior class club does an auction every year. There's a silent auction component and then the grand auction, the live auction is fun. But that's really a big fundraiser that our senior class club does to help bring the ticket prom, keep the ticket price for prom manageable, while still allowing them to do a really special and fun prom. It's a big fundraiser for them. They are looking for donations of physical items like food or handmade crafts, gift baskets, gift cards, virtual gifts, coupons, e-gift cards, buying a meal. I get told every year that I should do burgers with burger. You know, they love a good, you know, a fun name. Paying for trips, so tickets to a show, a game, a concert, or entertainment attraction, and then offering lessons. So musical lessons, cooking, knitting, coding, tutoring, anything along those lines. So they are looking for all of those submissions by January 20th. And then the auction itself is January 24th. Really close together. So they're probably going to start to get anxious January 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. So if you know that you're willing to contribute something, send it in sooner rather than later. One less thing for our seniors to have to worry about. So I think that that is mostly what I was going to talk through. So now is the great time for any questions. Did you say that there were more in the chat? Are there any more in the chat?
There was one person suggested, instead of everybody emailing Mr. Gasick, because it sounds as if the majority of people have not yet received intercession, maybe somebody on the PAC could email him and then just let everyone know.
Yeah, maybe Dr. Kwasi Anderson could just follow up with Mr.
Yeah.
Gazak.
Yeah, rather than you all emailing Maria or anybody, I'll just tell him to resend that. How about that?
That
Yeah,
works.
Dr. Anderson, I'm from PAC and I was suggesting that I can also help you guys, if that's okay. This is
Okay.
Macy. Yeah.
That
And-
sounds good.
And I did say that in the chat. It could be very likely that I received the email because I'm one of the sponsors for the intercession topics. So perhaps
Okay.
he is kind of, batch processing it. So I would wait up until Monday, Tuesday to be the latest, but I will follow up and find out when is that coming on
Thank you.
everybody's behalf.
That
Yep.
sounds
I
good.
did look it up, and last year they went out January 6th. So it was just
Yeah.
like a week or so in. So it
Yeah,
does seem
you should, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
So-
year intercession starts January 9, so I would think that it would be sent earlier than January 6th,
Yep.
Last year it started a little later, January 17th, I recall.
Yep.
So this year with the travel plans and everything, I think it will be sent prior to the break.
To break,
That's- yeah.
absolutely. That's our
Yes.
plan. Yep.
Yeah, okay, but I'm happy to follow up with Paul.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
One question.
Then also-
Hey, Maitri, can you please share your email ID in the chat so that we can contact you if you have any questions on this?
Yes,
Because
I will.
I'm not sure how soon we will get reply from principal officer, so because they will be busy.
Yes, I will send it to you. I will place that in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. And
I know
one more
our-
question.
Whenever we out big emails to everybody, like if we merge something so that everybody gets an individualized email with the correct information, it batch sends them. And I know we joke about getting put in email timeout because we'll try to, it ends up being like 3,000 emails by the time it goes to all the people, and it will time out your email because it just ends up being overload. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of you got them last night, and some get them today, and some get them Sunday, just because the email system gets backed up, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay,
I have a question for Katie. I have sent email multiple times to follow up the biliteracy on the Tamil language. My daughter wants to take it because she is studying more than 7 years that language. she wants to take a biliteracy seal for that. So I followed up with principal office and with you even multiple times, even today, even in the last meeting. I have not received any reply. And my daughter also followed up a couple of times at the school, but we don't have any other information on this. We didn't get any info. Is there any way to get that?
What is your question again?
How can my daughter take the biliteracy exam through IMSA? Because a student cannot register directly with that institute. Through the education institute only, the students can take that biliteracy exam.
Okay, so what I'm going to encourage you to do is have the student work with their CAC.
Yeah, my daughter contacted CAC already. Not proper response so far. Anyhow, I will ask her to do it again and again, and I will also follow up with the emails.
Yes, the CACs are going to do a presentation, during this meeting. Put that in the chat, and that would be something that they'll follow up. So.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll do an email intro for you, your child's CAC, and the registrar on a new string, and get that going for you.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay. So in terms, and I just wanted to say, in terms of once those intercession schedules go out, and if you find that your child is a downstate person who usually takes the bus back, we'll work with the Transportation Committee in terms of coordination for that. So just wanted to put that out there for everyone.
Yeah, Maria, I can add a bit in that, when we created the original travel schedule for the year, it wasn't yet determined that intercession would if it would be virtual versus on campus. So, but IMSA staff have clarified with us that, the overwhelming expectation is that students will be on campus. So we will take a look at the travel schedule and make sure that the bus runs to get students back to campus for intercession.
Wonderful. And then for those who may be keeping their children, home for, if they have virtual, they'll have to coordinate their own transportation back in that case, and let the committee know if they're not using their seat, right, Joe?
Absolutely. Yep. And they're welcome to, students can participate virtually from campus. So if transportation is very difficult, I would encourage those families, even though it's hard to part with them for an extra week, to let them ride the bus per the schedule and complete their virtual intercession work while on campus.
And as we know, the students always find things to do amongst themselves anyway, after those sessions in the evening. So wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so there was a question about the senior auction, if it's for the students only, as far as purchasing things in the senior auction.
Yep, so the question is related to senior auction. Can students the only ones who can purchase, or can others, staff, parents, anyone is welcome to participate and purchase? Well, to honestly raise money. So sometimes staff and parents buying is more beneficial to seniors than our students. The auction is physically here, and there isn't a virtual way to participate. So you would need to be here physically in order to participate, or you need to get a bidder on your behalf. So talk your student into bidding for you. But I know, like, when I've done meals before, honestly, usually it's staff members that end up outbidding the students for it, which is okay, because they still make some good money on it. Question?
If we have to ask a company or store to donate for the auction, do you have like a letter that we could present to the company? Because I know my work, when I did, it was one of the activities, and I asked company to donate, and we had like a letter from work that you can present, so they know it's not personally, you're doing it for a certain institution. Just yes, so they can use it for their own write-up. Do you have such a letter that can be distributed to parent who wants to go out to a company and say, hey, can you help out your local school?
We can draft something like that. I'm not sure, in order for it to be a tax write-off, the donation might have to filter through the IMSA fund and not directly to the school. So I think having that letter is a really good idea. So I'm gonna, let me
just
figure out to
incredible.
get the letter.
Yes.
But let me figure out about the tax write-off piece, if we can partner with the IMSA fund to make that an option, because that's.
Yeah, even if it's not for tax write-off, at least that company will know that you're not.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm actually shocked that nobody's asked us before. So let me work on that with Chloe, who advises our senior class club, and maybe in the next email they send out saying, please donate, we can just provide that letter.
And if you make sure that we get a copy, we can put it on the PAC website.
Oh,
as
thank
well.
you. I gotta follow up with you because on the IMSA website, it's not linked. to the
There is a
PAC website
question in the
directly.
chat that says, my question is regarding allowing the use of access road on Monday or early Friday afternoon before 4:30. I understand security, but if you show the parent's badge, what is the problem with opening the road instead of having everything dropped off, heavy items, suitcases and whatnot dropped off? I guess they mean, if the student has a lot of luggage, then they have to haul it around.
Yeah, the issue really is that during the academic day, we can't necessarily guarantee that there's going to be somebody sitting there monitoring it to hit the button and to let people in. And during the academic days, honestly, when we have a lot of issues with people who are not supposed to be going towards the halls, going towards the halls, delivery drivers, people who are confused and lost. I can mention that to security. I actually recommended to Maria that perhaps just based on a lot of the questions that have been coming up lately, it might be beneficial to actually have one of your featured speakers be security, just to talk through some of the changes on campus, some of the concerns, some of the action steps we're taking, and just be able to have that two-way conversation and that feedback. So for sure on those days, that finals week, so December 19th, 20th, 21st, for sure you're going to get access to access roadway and staff to make sure that that is possible. But then looking at second semester, I know that there was a question about some more flexibility on I days, which security said, okay, we'll work to figure that out. And we can ask about Monday mornings as well. Fridays, there should be increased access on Fridays. So you recorded this, right? So I can get that question from the chat and I'll just follow up with security, but I think having them come maybe in January would be a good thing. Okay, I'll be in the back. So if you have any other questions, let me know. Thank you for the pen.
You're welcome.
And sure.
It's just not very good power. I don't know if it's possible, especially when
I can mind repeating the question.
Yeah, so the question was related to fitness center hours. Currently, the fitness center is open from 2 to 6. And the feedback is that's not conducive when you have class till 4:30, always to get over there in that shorter window of time. And I'm gonna be honest, because with us having athletic competitions in the gym so frequently, when we have basketball games for our girls or our boys, they sometimes will even close at 5 instead of at 6. So the fitness center is managed by our wellness team member, our IPA, Mr. Jason Moore. And so Dr. Kwashi Anderson had mentioned that in order to expand hours, that she's in the process of hiring an evening activities monitor that is going to be able to expand hours in the IRC into and the fitness center to be more responsive to student needs and that feedback. The person who was previously in that role, Dr. Kwashi Anderson mentioned transition to another role. The person's now an RC, so I'm okay that we snagged that person as an RC. But now we just need to backfill that role. So once we have the evening activities monitor position filled, Dr. Kwashi Anderson mentioned there are currently 5 applicants, so that's great. We'll be able to expand some of those hours. In the past, the RCs have also been able to offer some weekend hours in the fitness center. We still continue to have 2 openings. We had a great on-site interview this week and continue to work through just finding the right people for that role. But I'm hopeful that as we come back from semester, we may be able to offer some weekend hours as well through the RCs, and we'll work with the wellness team to get them trained and certified to be able to open that space. So yeah, I agree with you, right? It's cold outside. We gotta let them get their energy out in a healthy way.
And adding to what she said, I know the Bond Center is just like 5 minutes down the road. Can maybe IMSA look into it so they can do a partnership with them?
Yeah.
They have students who there are a lot of students that really so athletic. You know, since it's just 5 minutes down the road, that's gonna be one of the good, like, they send them to Target. So if you work in partnership with the Brown Center, then they could just bus the student, whoever want to go there, work out for 1 hour, then go back and pick them up.
Yeah,
Something
it's a paid membership. We did reach out to the Bond Center, and said, can
Oh.
you give our students a little discount? We were
Yeah.
willing to give a little discount, but there's still a cost associated with it.
Yeah.
We have traded some services with them in the past,
Oh.
like you can use our outdoor track. Can we use your indoor track? Things along those lines. So we were able to do some of that last year. I'll mention it to our coordinator of athletics and co-curriculars and see if we want to pursue something like that again.
Oh, okay.
All right, again, I always take up so much time in
You
your
want-
meeting. Thank
you
you.
want
I'll
this?
hang out
You
in the
wanna
back.
make that?
No, my pen is in the back. So just let me know if you have any other questions. I'll be hanging out back here.
Okay, so again, if you have any questions for Katie, feel free to put it in the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself. We just have a few wrap-up things for our general session, and then I'll be introducing the PAC representatives who are joining us today for the speaker session right after our general session. So we talk a lot about the PAC website. I do encourage you to go visit the website if you haven't done so already, or check on it regularly. Some of the upcoming meetings that some of the different committees have talked about and the parent representatives are on those calendars, along with the links to the meetings themselves. Each committee has its own section. Also, one thing we talked about with emails, there's a lot of emails that come out of IMSA. So we do have the IMSA communications section, and those emails are separated out by general emails that go out to all parents, as well as via for seniors, sophomores, juniors, and each hall. So we encourage you to take a look at that, and also helpful resources. And on the helpful resources tab, we do have some link backs to the IMSA website. So for some of the general information that parents have been asking about, and of course, we also have the recordings and slide decks from these PAC sessions on there, as well as the speaker sessions. And I just want to remind everyone, so if you wanted to go back and hear a specific section from today, so if you wanted to hear just about, Dr. Comforter Claudia Anderson's updates, I have started adding chapters to each of these recordings. So when you go into the description on YouTube, you can click on the timestamp, and that will take you directly to that section, because we do know that these meetings are lengthy. And so for those who are unable to attend, or those, again, who might be attending in person and want to, have a refresher when you get back, you may need to have it in the bite-sized pieces or just go to a specific section. So it is divided up by each of the committee chairs and the speakers. And also on our website is how to support, donate to the PAC. I'll cover that in a minute. And so basically, we know at the end of the year is when some people like to make their donations, or even companies like to make donations. We encourage you to consider donating to the PAC. There's different ways that you can do so. If you go to, again, imsapac.org, under donate to the PAC, it shows how you can do so. So you may be asking, well, how do you use those funds? Well, we do use it to offset the cost of some of the programming, but also for some of the different programming and the events that we have. So for instance, senior banquet, transportation, especially, we like to help offset the cost to those families who are in tier 1, tier 2. So those funds help to allow us to be able to offset. So also in terms of transportation for busing, we've been able to help kind of give additional funding, so to lower the cost of the buses overall for all the transportation, or those who are taking transportation. So in order for us to be able to continue doing that in future years, we do ask for that additional support. An easy way, again, I'm going to ask, I ask every time, but it always cracks me up. How many of you in the audience shop on Amazon? Don't be shy. There's only 2 hands going up. No, I'm just kidding. On Amazon.
Maria, the answer is everyone.
Exactly. I always like to find out what's the most interesting thing you've purchased on Amazon, since we know that there's a lot of interesting things that can be purchased there. But as you are shopping, and again, as you're shopping for your holiday gifts, or even if you're replenishing for things for your students, when they come back to campus, or even if you're purchasing for those who live further away, some nice treats for your kids. We ask that you consider joining the Amazon Smile program. You can scan this QR code. It is completely free to do. And basically what that does is it tells Amazon, hey, you'd like to have 0.5% of your purchase go towards the PAC. That may not seem like a lot, but as we've seen from the show of hands with everybody purchasing, that can add up to, still a significant amount at the end of the day. So again, when you check out, you should see if it does take it okay. And if you set up on the app the first time, usually it will just remain that way. So when you check out, it will show supporting IMSA PAC. IMSA Parent Association Council is the direct name. So we thank you in advance and we say, hey, happy shopping on Amazon. Okay, so these are our remaining PAC session dates. So as I've mentioned before, January 21st is our January PAC session, and that will be all virtual. So that will just be via Zoom. We'll be sending out that information a little bit closer to the session itself. But if you go onto the PAC website, we have the same link every month for the meeting, so for the sessions. So it'll be the same link. Okay. Board of Trustees information. There is a meeting on January 18th. And if you go onto that website, it'll give you the information on how to join that meeting. And again, if you want to contact us, you can go to imsapac.org for more information, but email info@imsapac.org and it goes to a number of us, and hopefully one of us will be able to answer your question. So just wanted to ask if there's any last minute questions before we move on to our speaker session. Comments? Okay, no, we're good. All right, great. Thank you. So now I would like to introduce members of our college and academic, or I should say ours, but IMSA's College and Academic Counseling team, the CACs. So we have Manuel Donaldson and Gerard Tobler on with us today. So we see you on our screen. So hi to both of you. So I'd like to give you both an opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Yes, thank you. My name is Manuel Donaldson. I'm glad to be here. Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm one of the college and academic counselors. I've been at IMSA a little over a year, and I'm a former admissions counselor myself, associate director of admissions. Been working in education for over 20 years, probably closer to 25. I'm just glad to be here this morning.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Gerard Tobler. I actually been here at IMSA a total going on 10 years now. I started as a resident counselor, then I moved over to the admissions department. And then finally, this is my first year as college academic counselor. Even before IMSA, I was working on a college level in athletics and working with students throughout this entire process, from applying and all of those different things. And, I'm definitely glad to be a part of the, the college and academic team here.
Good. So our goal today, we want to take the opportunity to do a presentation about scholarships. I think this is some very important information, especially for all parents, but especially for our senior parents. I know we have a lot of students been coming to the office asking about scholarships. We've been making several recommendations ourselves. Some have been made by teachers and some independently by the students. But there's a lot of great information we like to share. And I'm gonna turn over to Gerard to get us started. And then towards the end of the presentation, we'll answer questions about scholarships and then some general questions as well. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
All right. Gerard, you there?
Yep, yes, I am. Yeah, if you want to go to the next slide, or would it be easier for me to share my screen, whatever is easier for you? Okay. All right, so yeah, these are just some of the things that we'll go over today, for, of course, eligibility, what is covered, when, and definitely how to apply. And then for where to find and examples, kind of with the format, we can make sure we can get this presentation out to anyone. And so then you'll be able to click on those links, because those links will take you to those specific college pages. Then you'll be able to see all of that different information. So we may go through kind of where to find examples a little bit quick. However, all of that information will still be present, and we'll make sure that we can get this presentation to you so you can divulge a little bit deeper there. All right.
But
next
Gerard,
slide.
just want to let you know that all the parents will be receiving the slide deck from today. So they'll have.
Perfect. Awesome. Even better. All right. Yep. Next slide. All right. So when it comes to who is eligible, there's kind of two different pools where students will fall into. One is merit-based, and it's when you apply, you automatically will be considered. This will come down to grades. This will come down to athletic performance. This will come down to, do you play instrument if you are applying in different areas, where you will automatically be considered. There's not anything else that you need to do minus fill in the initial application that you already have for that institution. Then there are others that require just a little bit more. That even though you did apply, they are going to ask for some more information. It could be essays, it could be another statement, it could be even maybe a 2-minute video. You know, I know now schools are definitely expanding things that they accept and things that they want from students. And so when it does come from those additional informations, you also will need to keep in mind of the various deadlines that those will have, and if they may even ask for another letter of recommendation when it comes to additional information. And then some, just like a lot of schools, will have a portal that students will log into, and within that portal, it will have that information where students will be able to upload that information for the various scholarships that they plan on applying to, that they definitely qualify for. Next slide. So, and there's a full range of what can be covered. Of course, I think we all would love that full ride, especially, you know, with the cost of college. Anytime we can get that full ride, hey, you know, keep in mind for those scholarships that usually have a higher monetary value, there is a lot more information that you need. You know, if there's, you know, for instance, a scholarship that may be 500, it could be a 500-word essay that you have to submit. But when you are looking at those scholarships that may require a full ride, it could be multiple prompts that you have to fill out. Then you also need to look at getting more teacher evaluations. Then they also want this type of report over here. If you're doing a research, they want maybe that research report. So just keep in mind that usually the higher monetary value, the more information that you will need to supply for that scholarship. And that's either for the institution, or that's for a local, or even if it's for just a general that you can do a typical search for. You know, and another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of these are recurring. So after your first year, you may need to do a little bit of work just to reapply to say, yes, I'm still at this school. Here are my grades. I'm still in good academic standings. Then they'll recover what they had before. And then some scholarships could just be a one and done, where, all right, here's $3,000, thank you, and then that is it from us. But as we get into further, you can still continue to apply and look for others even while you're in college and all those type of things. Right. Next slide. All right. So when should you be applying for scholarships? We recommend definitely exploring the scholarship search during your junior year. So that does include a lot, because not only are you searching colleges, but you're also looking for various scholarships that they have within their institutions. And this also means that even with the general Google search, looking on Naviance, seeing different scholarships that you qualify for, as well as some that, okay, when I do apply, I'm going to be looking at these, and then you're able to kind of start gathering that information to be organized when you are looking at your colleges. And so when you do kind of have your matrix of, you know, school size, cost, you know, all your variables that you want, another slot should be those scholarships. When are the scholarships due? What scholarships are offered? What is the value of those? So you can have all that information. And when you start writing your essays, you know that you will also have that scholarship information, you know, to be able to make sure that is all encompassing versus, all right, I'm just going to do this first, and then now, oh, I got to do this. But if the deadlines are different or even sooner, that is another thing why you want all that information clear about every college and institution that you're looking to apply to. All right. And then definitely from senior year and throughout college until you finish college. Because as I stated before, some scholarships are only for, that 1 year, but others are recurring. But even while you are in college, there are some scholarships that are senior only. Some are junior only. Some are, okay, once you're in the major now, or you're studying this, or you're in this inactivity, and scholarships can open up. So even while you are in college, you still want to be applying, still want to be searching, especially at those institutions of various ways, to gain scholarships. And then most importantly, make sure everything is submitted by the deadline. I know with applications, things that are outside of your control, usually they're a little bit lenient. And what I mean by that, if it's a teacher evaluation, they'll usually accept that a little bit later. And I know even for us, and Mr. Donaldson can attest that there was 1 or 2 issues with the uploading through Naviance, which we were able to rectify. Everything is fine for those students, but the schools were more than understanding, and they still accepted all that information. However, with scholarships, a lot of those, they are very cut and dry. There is no, wiggle room for those. So it is vital that you make sure you have those dates so you don't miss a deadline and miss out on an opportunity to gain a scholarship. Next slide. All right. Again, as stated before, the 3 different ways how to apply. One is automatic. As soon as you apply, again, those come down to merit base, where you'll automatically be in the pool to receive those various scholarships. Another, you'll just need to add those different information. But the one that we did also add are nominations. And with nominations, that has a different area to look at. Your teachers can nominate you, we can nominate you. And even if you do hear about a scholarship, you can come to us, say, hey, I had to have this conversation, scholarship that I just found, it needs a nomination. Would you be more than willing to do that for us? Of course, we'll say yes. Now, one thing to keep in mind about nomination is that a lot of these scholarships are very, very competitive when it comes to nominations. And then some are also very specific. Maybe students need a specific GPA, or students need to be going in a specific major, or students need to have, this type of background. So when nominations, that is one thing to keep in mind. If you do hear, oh, well, this student got nominated. Well, did they qualify? Are they those type of things? And as stated before, with those being very competitive, we can only nominate so many every year. And so because of that, we will sometimes need to look at the pool if there are multiple students that have applied to that institution, and then how many we can nominate. And then that's something that here in the CAC office, we will definitely make sure we get those nominations out to those various institutions. All right, next slide. All right. And now here's kind of the gist of everything, where to find these scholarships. Of course, the admissions page. When you are applying and you create your portal, 90% of the time, there's always a quick link to those scholarships. If not, definitely utilize a school search bar for any institution that you go into. Just type in scholarships, it will take you to those. And there are a lot of scholarships that they will take you to within their institution. And as I stated before, there are some just for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So it will take work to kind of siphon through all of that information, but the ones that qualify, definitely apply. And then on the institutionals page, the financial aid, usually those tie hand in hand with the scholarship page to where to find those scholarships. If you do already know exactly what major you want to get into, which a lot of students do, definitely go into their department pages, because once you do go into there, they will have very specific scholarships for those that are going into biology, for those that are going into physics and engineering, that only those students that are in those majors or applying for those majors can qualify for. And the beauty is when you start getting more and more specific, 99% of the time, it's a smaller and smaller pool, which hopefully means a higher opportunity to be able to get a scholarship within that area. Right. And then another stated before with the search bar on the college website. And I believe if you go to the next slide for me. Yep. And then continuing with the web search, I wanted to state that a simple Google web search you can go ahead and type in college scholarships. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, which I'll get into, but you do want to be careful a little bit about in those that you shouldn't pay for any type of scholarships and you shouldn't be giving any way personal information. All right, I'll make sure I touch on that again. And then you do see the other one in Naviance. So when students log into Naviance within the college tab, there are a place, I believe it's slightly to the right, and it'll say scholarship search. So we go through and we will update all those scholarships in there, and any new scholarships we'll also put in the Naviance. Now, as we continue to update, as I am in charge of there, I have not gotten to all of them. Even if it does look expired, please search on those because a lot of those are reoccurring. So even though last year, again, maybe the deadline was January 1st, 2022, right? More than likely, the same scholarship is there. The deadline will be January 1st, 2023. Okay, so I'm still going through and making sure I change those dates that are present, but a lot of those scholarships are reoccurring. They happen every year. So even though it may look like, oh, you know, I missed the deadline, but if it's last year, still go ahead and click on those because a lot of them, as I stated before, are reoccurring. And then next you see even on our website, and again, you can just go to this link. There are various links that you can go to look for scholarships as well. And those you'll be able to search, you know, different criteria. Oh, I'm looking to become an engineer, or I play music, or from a rural area. Like all of those types, you'll be able to break down when you are looking at various scholarships with all of the different links that we have. And again, those are just a couple of names that we have, but we have a lot more than that once you do go to that link. Next slide. So just a couple of tips, and we will touch on this one more time. Compile personal information. A lot of times it will be very redundant when you are applying for scholarships. You know, yes, we'll get tired and putting in, all right, your name, your birthday. Sometimes maybe they will ask for some financial information, maybe how much you make. So that is something just to kind of keep in mind, you know, and in various essays. So like when you do have kind of topics for those essays that students write, it'll be great to keep all of those together because a lot of those questions relate very closely that you may just need to change one or two different things. Definitely be organized. So when you are with that Excel spreadsheet or whichever route you'd like to use, when you are going through, you have your college name, why you want to go to that college, the class sizes, all of those type of things. Still have that list of the various scholarships that they have at the school, and more importantly, with those due dates. Because as stated before, some of those dates could be before the application deadline, or it could be, all right, you apply, let's say on the 1st, then the scholarship deadline is due the 10th. So you want to make sure you're mindful and definitely organized. And stated before with being cautious, you know, definitely do not pay for any type of services. Okay, you shouldn't have to pay a subscription fee to be able to get fed scholarships offers. Okay, secondly, social security numbers, definitely wouldn't give those out. Bank account codes, definitely don't, account numbers, definitely don't be giving those out. Okay, a lot of it is basic information, basic personal information that you'll be giving. So if something feels off, I definitely would not do it. Okay. And of course, parents, definitely, you know, help your students out. I know with them looking at kind of the different colleges that they're looking to go to, you know, maybe have them focus on, you know, creating a college list. And then you can also help where, all right, I'll look at the scholarships within those schools, you know, that you are interested in, you know, because it is a family, you know, we're all together, and also help the students where you can say, all right, here's some scholarships you should be looking for. And then, of course, I'm sure that the students will also, you know, find scholarships on their own as well. All right, next slide, please. All right. And so even though, again, I know since I'm not officially, you know, clicking and doing all that, we'll probably go through some of these examples, but with all the links, you'll be able to go on those pages to be able to see, you know, kind of the layouts of various colleges. Once you go to one, you'll go to them all, and they're all very similar when in terms of the breakdown of, you know, the name, the merit based, this is how much it is. It'll have all the information that you need. And lastly, it will have click here to apply. Or once you log in, you know, you'll need to do X, Y, and Z for that. All right. So if you want to go ahead and click next slide. All right. So Since a lot of our students do apply to U of I in Urbana-Champaign, this is kind of a list of all the merit-based scholarships. And for merit-based, remember, these are scholarships that students are automatically considered regardless of your major. So that link will take you to that page that would list all of those, as well as have more detailed information of how much they're worth, the renewal process, all of those different types at the University of Illinois Champaign. All right, next slide. And as I mentioned with supplement information, for U of I, there's actually definitely a different page that you'll go to, and each student will get a specific ID number. You'll need to input that, click continue, and then it'll take you forward to be able to supply whatever supplement information that you'll need for the various scholarships. And a lot of schools will have something similar to this. Next slide. University of Illinois Chicago, again, financial aid, various scholarships, merit-based, same thing. So yep, we can go to the next slide. Again, more links to all the different scholarships, assistance. And then one good thing that University of Illinois Chicago, they also will look at internal scholarships as well as external scholarships. Now, not all schools will, kind of put everything right there together for you. But University of Illinois Chicago is one of those that they'll give you internal as well as external scholarships. So that's a kind of a good plus looking at their website. All right, next slide. Okay. And then the Ohio State University, this is one of our out-of-state where a couple of our students do apply to, because they're also kind of that same size as U of I, big type of school, very similar, so once you go to one, you'll be able to see all, but here are some of the merits that you are automatically considered if you apply. Next slide. Okay. And again, just more information, we can go to the next slide. Yep. All right. And as I stated before, in regards to nominations, as I said, they are extremely competitive. So if you do come to us and about a nomination, our biggest thing is just make sure you fit for that scholarship. Because again, some are financially based, some are, are you going into this major? But we'll sit down and we'll make sure we will nominate students that definitely qualify for those scholarships. And if again, a lot of students do apply for it, sometimes it is tough decisions on our end, but they will have a strict limit of how many we can apply when it comes to nominations there. And then the last thing I will say about nominations is that when we do nominate students, a lot of times check your emails, because when you check your email, there could be, again, more information you'll have to do for that. And we try to nominate students early enough that it gives them enough time if they want extra information, that if our nomination deadline, let's say, is the 10th, then sometimes, if you need to get that supplement information in by the 15th. So a lot of these could be quick turnarounds. And so that's just one thing to keep in mind, that once you do get nominated, you'll receive an email and then further instructions of what you need to do. All right, next slide, please. Okay. And then here are some that have to be nominated from Davidson, UNC Chapel Hill, UNC Charlotte. And so, again, multiple places where our students apply to. Next slide. Okay. Even more, some more examples: Florida, Miami, Virginia, NC State again. So yeah. Next slide, please. Right. And then for those students that qualified for our national merit, there are specific scholarships that are for those students. So the first link up there, you receive a PDF of all the different colleges and universities that acknowledge, national merit finalists and also have various scholarships associated with it. Now, the next link, that'll take you where you'll be able to actually apply for some of those scholarships. So the first one is a PDF where you'll be able to see all the different schools. And then the next one are places where you can actually apply. Now, again, this is only for those that qualified as a national merit finalist, and that is with the exam that all students take. It's their junior year, correct?
PSAT.
Yes, it's junior year.
PSAT.
Yes, thank you. So they all take that here, and then once they qualify, there's a couple steps that our registrar and we do in our office to make sure that you are able to qualify for those scholarships. All right, next slide. And as I already spoke about, the Naviance and web, there's other places to look for. Next slide. Okay. And another thing we do want to mention is that there are a couple of military academies. Now, probably say if you had to guess, Mr. Donaldson, maybe 1-2 students maybe every year look at those, you know, but yeah.
So yeah, definitely really a handful, very small number, yes.
Yeah, but we just want to make sure that you are known about this, as we do have the various military academies. You know, a lot will that have gone in, look to get into that nuclear engineering, all that wonderful aspects there, and they have various scholarships and various aids for students to apply as well. All right, next slide. All right. Tips and reminders. Again, remember the personal information, and then creating a list. Now, one thing that I also want to mention is that you can get a lot of emails if you do sign up for any type of services. So what we recommend is kind of creating just a dummy account that is strictly for scholarships, because trust me, you can get flooded, you know, when it comes to all of the offers that you can get. This way you kind of keep it separate, and then you can star the favorite ones and, you know, check every couple of days. All right, I'm going to look at these ones I'm just going to delete, because that is one thing that we definitely recommend is creating a separate email account, especially when you really start getting into those scholarships, because like I said, it can be very, very overwhelming. All right, next slide, please. All right. And if you are working at a school, for the parents, there are various waivers. I know my sister, she works at one, and they actually have an agreement with other colleges as well within that network, if her son decides to go to one of those colleges in there. I know she's already kind of pushing that, even though he's young, has plenty of time, but it's just something to think about. For veterans, there are various grants and scholarships for your students as well, if you are a current veteran. And remember, start your college search or start your scholarship search at your colleges, because only those that are applying will qualify for those. When you are looking at the broad general, only, you know, everyone can apply to those, but a very smaller number can only apply for those colleges scholarships that are applying. And then lastly, you know, definitely call and email the admissions departments at those various institutions. Okay, they will do a great job to direct you. Or if you just have very specific questions regarding, you know, this scholarship, you know, and if it's a financial aid type of where you need to meet, you can also get more information about there where if it's your time to apply, you know, so that's another great resource to be able to look at as well. All right, next slide, please. Okay. And again, do not give those personal information out. So security numbers, you know, account numbers, don't pay any fees or pay for a scholarship search. There's too many free searches out there, and you do not need to pay for this. So please make sure you're not giving any money out when it comes to this type of process. Next slide. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. So I know we come to the end of our presentation. You know, definitely go in, click on those links to be able to see the different examples with those. If I knew this format, I would have had it a little bit shorter, but I do appreciate all the clicking because I know that was a lot of clicking. All right, next slide, next slide. But here's all of our information. Again, you have myself, Mr. Donaldson. We also have Dr. Bigler and Ms. Molenhouse. And then with our staff, we have Ms. G, as the students know, and then our registrar, Mr. Abraham. All right. And Mr. Donaldson, you're going to jump on those questions, correct? And then we'll open it up to various questions.
Yes, one of the things I want to say about scholarships too is very similar to the college admissions process. So just to parents, remember, research is key, and starting early is key. Because think about just with the education data out there, there's probably over 1.7 million scholarships available to students. That's according to the Department of Education. And a little close to 7% are awarded. So one of the things I know from I was the president of a scholarship committee, and there were many times with scholarships, as Gerard already went through in his presentation, is to make sure everything is complete, one. Two, to make sure earlier is always better, because scholarship organizations at schools, colleges and universities, they want to make those decisions early, as soon as possible, and also being complete. There should be, just like with applying to college, make sure if your students they have a spreadsheet or something they're using, add another column for scholarships and make sure they have a checklist. Everything they ask for, you want to make sure that you send and that you don't go above that. If they ask for 2 letters of recommendations, and if they say they want it specifically from teachers, then that's what the students should send. If they're asking for an essay, make sure they know the word count, make sure they know the prompt or the topic. And also additional information, like they may some may ask for a high school transcript, some may ask for the school profile. I think I responded to this week about 7 different scholarships. And each one of them were very unique, very specific. And here's another big one, is the deadline. The number one way to be disqualified or denied for a scholarship is to miss the deadline. Deadlines are very important. So I just wanted to share that little bit of information on top of the scholarship presentation. And like Gerard Tobler said, any questions about scholarships or general questions you may have, that's what we're here for. So please feel free to ask those questions, and we'll both answer them.
Hello, this is Rashmi. I'm actually responding, or actually asking questions that were compiled from the sophomore PAC meeting that we had. So the first question is relating to scholarships. Do IMSA students have a disadvantage or some sort of perceived lower GPA because IMSA doesn't have honors and AP classes? So this is when being evaluated to receive private, smaller merit or even merit-based scholarships.
Yes, so the answer would be no, because one, our classes are considered college prep, and we do have, as you know, a couple of our courses considered AP. That would be our AB and BC calculus. But a lot of our students right now receive scholarships, and anytime a school doesn't calculate a GPA, most scholarships and colleges will ask that question. And even they will also, the follow-up question will be, does your school does any ranking? And anytime a school doesn't participate in either one of those, then the colleges or the scholarship organizations, then they begin to look at other factors. So some of those factors are, they do look at the grades, and then they look at the grades in all courses. And some may ask, it depends on the institution, some may ask for test scores, as you know. So our students, most schools know about IMSA. Each school in each program, even a scholarship they ask for, they receive a school profile. Every year, our school profile is updated. It explains what type of school we are. It explains we're a residential school. It breaks down where our students go to college. It gives a wealth of information on our profile. So that profile gives them a snapshot of what type of school it is. So it actually puts them at an advantage, not a disadvantage.
Okay, and related to that, I think you answered for the most part, but how do we or our students best position themselves to receive these scholarships, merit-based scholarships? Yeah,
the best way is to apply. So, and Gerard mentioned it in his presentation earlier, as students, especially say, let's go for example, let's use an example like seniors. If you're a senior and you already have your college list, or even if you have a preliminary college list, for example, during the months of January of next year and throughout April, all of the juniors will meet and be invited to what we call family college conferences with the college and academic counselors. And we ask that one parent be present with the junior. So during that meeting, we talk about the college admissions process, but also we began to draft a preliminary college list. And that list, we ask students to use that list to start researching their schools. visit their schools and go out. But also that's a good time to start looking at scholarships. So especially scholarships related to schools that may be on their preliminary list that students may have an interest in going to. Because that's probably, that's the #1 place to start looking for scholarships is at schools that have the students major and that they're interested in going to. And they want to start researching what is the criteria, what is the expectation. As I said before, put it on their spreadsheet or on their, however they're going to be documenting their search. Somewhere on there should be a column or a place for scholarships with criteria, deadline, and also the other pieces that may add value or contribute to the application. So that's I would say that's primary, and almost I admonish all students to make sure they do that. And right now, a lot of my students are doing it, and they're ahead of the game because we talked about that last year. So we started looking at scholarships last year, and we started mapping out and identifying, for those who are interested, identifying scholarships that students may be interested in applying in. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, because I think this answers for scholarships that are known or provided by the college or institution. The parents specifically asked about scholarships that are outside the college, like public or private agencies.
Foundation, private, yeah. So we have a couple of resources on Naviance. So we would ask the students to go to their Naviance account. We have some links there, but also we provided some in the presentation that you all will receive a copy of. And they could also set up a meeting with their CAC. And the CAC can provide additional places. For example, as I said before, I probably had about 7 scholarship meetings this week. And each one of those meetings I provided every one of those students. I probably have, you know, there literally are probably hundreds of places to look for scholarship. Gerard probably can agree with me on that.
I guess the question was specifically for private or outside of college type scholarships. Do IMSA students have a disadvantage because they might not know about IMSA? And if so, how do we best position our students for those private
as I said before, they do not have a disadvantage because once any scholarship, if they don't know about the school, it's our job to make sure we get them the information. And we do have a few that never heard of IMSA, so they request additional information. And some of that information is sent through, as I said before, our school profile. Others, they may ask for us to fill out a form and to answer some of their preliminary questions. We do that, and we're willing to share any other information that would help them to increase our students' chances and to receive a scholarship. So those are some of the things that we do currently.
Okay, great, thank you. One other question that the parents had for these scholarships and any applications really, grants, other applications, do the students have to manually convert the grades to GPA or does IMSA assist? And if so, whom do we approach?
So IMSA, we do not calculate the GPA. We do have what we call an IMSA grade score. So we do have an idea what their average grade is, if you will, at their time at IMSA. But we can help, and we do it now. We can help students because there are some applications and some scholarships, summer programs that require a GPA. So we use several tools, and one of the tools we tell the students is to use one of the online calculators, because as you know, our students have a homeschool. Many of them transfer from a school within the state. So they will take that transcript, put in that information in the calculator, as well as their IMSA transcript, and that will calculate a GPA for them. And we can help them with that, and we do that now as their CACs if they need assistance with that.
Okay, so should they approach their CAC representative to get that GPA?
Yes, to help calculate it, yes, if they need one. But the first response though, if they have a form, they usually ask them, does their school calculate the GPA? and we don't calculate it, but we will help the student calculate it to submit it on their own.
Okay, yeah, so I'll put a note to the sophomore parents to ask, their students to get in touch with the CAC representative. I do have some other questions for CAC, but they're not related to scholarships.
That's
So,
fine.
the questions that I have are, this is related to AP tests. Do we have data from previous years to share that shows the breakdown of scores for the AP test results per subject, like by subject?
Yes, we do have data, and I can try to put it in the chat. Our registrar, Mr. Ruel Abraham, he has access to that and collects all of our AP data, and he can share that by request.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. I don't know if you can send that in an email to me, sophomore. I'm the sophomore parent representative. So that would be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just another question. Do all four CACs, do you guys all like meet together in terms of, I've just noticed that some kids get accepted to, like, we have a lot of kids going to some certain colleges that are like really amazing. And so do all CACs have that information to help kids get into some of these very competitive spots, or is it like one CAC really knows a lot about a certain Ivy League and another CAC knows a lot about like the U of I engineering program, or are you guys all familiar with all of it?
So yes, the CACs, we actually meet once a week. Every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, we have a meeting, a staff meeting for the entire office, and then we have a CAC portion only. And when we do our family college conferences, all the CACs sit in on each other's family meetings just to share information, and we share notes. We also have a database of all of previous where our students went to before, whether it be last year or the prior years. So we have access to all the information, we share it. What's different is sometimes some students, it really goes by preference and what the students are looking for. So that's a whole process in that family college conference meeting. When we have that meeting and we meet with the students, some of the things that we begin to talk about is we start those meetings off, we look at the students, the grades, the test scores. We look at some of their interests and some of their own priorities that they may have. So there's a lot of factors that go into that college list, like location, student life. Some students have, here's an example, some students have a particular location. Like one of my students only wanted schools in the family that were on the West Coast. So there was no need to put any other schools on the list when we began to talk about schools. Some students want to go to liberal arts schools. Some want to go to universities. Some want smaller campuses. So there's a lot of factors that are considered. So during the break, right before we go on break, you'll see close to, I want to say, the third week of December, we'll send out forms to our juniors to complete over winter break. And it's some documents. One, for example, is their autobiography. The other one is a self-assessment. And throughout that process, we're asking the students to fill out some of the things on their on a list of things that they desire about college. And some of those questions we ask about our location, cost, major, student life, clubs, organizations. So those are all the things that we factor in when we begin to put together a college list.
Sure, that, yeah, I appreciate that. So another, just more specifically, like you mentioned, West Coast. So California colleges, or at least some of them, they require a year of art. Right. And if our student isn't taking a music or band or anything like that, generally it looks like in our curriculum, we have one art. And so my question is, like, if my kiddo wants to go to or apply to Berkeley or something like that, he's struggling with finding a spot for an art. Can we, like, would he be able to do something over the summer at a local public school And we put that on his transcript, or is that not okay with IMSA?
So typically, any outside courses have to be approved by the faculty to go towards graduation. That's the first thing. And there's some limited courses like in math and other places where that's allowed. But what I would say for that student is to definitely set up a meeting with their CAC, because we began to look at their graduation progress early. So that's something that's examined throughout at a certain time of the year. But definitely as a junior, when we're talking about colleges, if those schools for the West Coast come up, which they do, then we still have another year to try to see what we can do to meet that requirement for the student. Because their senior year, and it happens in some cases where the student may take an additional course. But if not, it's something that you want to make sure the student talks to their CAC about and to see what their options are. But I do know that we try to look at that earlier than later before we get into their senior year, where we're boxed in, we have no room to add additional courses or options to make sure that student is eligible for any colleges they apply to.
So thank you. He's a junior. So does he need to meet with the CAC before break, or can
he can meet with the CAC. All of the CACs have an open door policy. So what I would suggest is the student to send the email to the CAC to request a meeting, and they will respond, and they'll set up a time for them to meet, and then they'll ask them to look over the graduation progress. That means looking at the classes student already took and the classes they need to take to graduate, but also talk about if there's an interest for some of those schools, as you mentioned, on the West Coast, which do require a year. So then we begin to look at what do we have available in our course selection to help that student satisfy that requirement.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And then just one quick last
Related
thing.
to the university question, do you have data, or does IMSA collect data on how many students are accepted into these most competitive universities? And if so, can you share this?
Yeah, so actually on Naviance, when students do registered, which we just registered all of our sophomores, and parents, we will be sending all the sophomore parents so they can register as well. When you start looking at your college list, when you start looking at various colleges, it will actually come up where you can see the last, I believe, 4 or 5 years of all the students applied, all the students that were admitted, and all the students that accepted. So we'll have like pretty much a chart going right through. And then we also have what's called the scattergrams. So not only that, you will be able to see where kind of those students that were accepted, where they fell, where their average or where their score was, their GPA was, and if they were accepted and or denied and or waitlisted, all of those type of things. So all of that information is for those various schools, and I will say it still kind of fits in with those highly selective schools, even with us, if they're getting 40,000 applications and only, 2,000, 3,000 spots, there is a very, that 4 or 5%, and so that's why another thing in the meetings, we do want to make sure that students are well-rounded in their list. We're going to be your child's biggest cheerleaders. We are there. We're going to support you with everything, but we are going to ask those questions, because if we do get those lists where every school is an acceptance rate below 5%, what happens if all of those are no? So that's a question that we need to ask. So we want to make sure that it's as well-rounded. So we want students to have multiple choices versus having one choice, and if they don't give you the package, then that's all you have, then is what you have to do. But all that information is available to you. So once you do get logged into that Naviance, you can go to that school under the admissions tab. You'll be able to see, again, 4 or 5 year history, and then the scattergrams of where students fell and if they were accepted or not. And lastly, still have to remember in admissions, especially on the college, there's so many layers to it. And also their charges that they're looking for. If they're looking for people from more rural areas, I'm not saying it's automatically a yes for them, but that's just something to keep in mind if they really want to try to hit that demographic in those students in rural areas. So every school is different, but we're going to help students put their best foot forward, make sure everything is submitted, write great letters, put their best foot forward. And, that's what we do.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question on AP tests.
Maria, can I jump in for 1 second?
I'm sorry, Maitri, but we are running over schedule right now, so I wanted to be mindful of everybody's time today. So I just wanted to thank Manuel and Gerard for joining us. And they have a lot of questions for the CACs, it sounds like. I'd like to invite both of them or a couple more representatives to join us, maybe at some future PAC sessions to answer some of these questions. And if I invite parents to also put some questions in the chat, if that would be okay. Is that all right?
And just so, is that Maria?
Yes, it's Maria.
Oh, Maria, how you doing? And I'll be at all of the coming meetings, and I'm inviting one of the CACs to join. So you can share that with the parents. I got them on my schedule. So I'll be at the future meetings, the PAC meetings.
Okay, and then I do know that we do have some questions that were asked that we shared with you, which unfortunately don't have a lot of time for today, but do you have just one?
I'd like to give some suggestions.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of question about the PAC in the college admission related. I think it's a use the time more efficiently. I think academic committee can collect all the question. Actually, we do have a list of the question one, but now we don't have time to. I think I like to have I'd like to collect all the list of the question, and then we can summarize, and then we can share the tag before the meeting, and then we can use time more efficient. I think if we just keep asking questions, it's gonna go forever.
Right. So Manuel, this is he is one of the chairs of the academic committee with the PAC. So his suggestion, if the academic committee chairs could gather the questions from parents, guardians that they have for the CACs, and if so, currently they meet on a monthly basis with Dr. Akwaji Anderson, and what ask questions and information that might be helpful to parents and guardians, so they're able to share that during the PAC sessions. So his suggestion is if they can do something similar with all of you in the CAC department, so then that way you can kind of have a little bit more time to address some of these questions that are coming up from parents that are CAC related. So if you're open to
yes,
we want to have you
fine.
Sessions, but as we see, there's a lot of questions for the CACs, and as he pointed out, we could have a few more hours with all the questions. So we can get you connected after this session.
All right. Thank you.
Maria, you can tell the sophomore parent rep is getting a lot of questions, a lot of energy and excitement among the sophomore parents, which is great.
Yeah,
this is true.
Right. And that is the biggest thing. We're very glad to be able to have this kind of conversation so that we know that if one parent has a question on their mind, they're probably not the only one. So we're glad to be able to bring it forward.
Yeah.
I did want to add a couple of things because I have a couple of kids in college now, having gone through the IMSA process a couple of times as far as that goes. But I did want to share too a couple of things. Is also look at your employers for parents, because there are sometimes some scholarships that are offered by employers, and as Gerard had pointed out, sometimes that may be a smaller pool than if you're looking at private scholarships. And also Manuel and Gerard, I would just want to know if you could touch on it real quick, because I know with some of the external scholarships, depending on the college or university you attend, some, if you are receiving like merit aid from them, if you get awarded external scholarships, sometimes it may not be stackable on top of whatever aid they're giving you. They may actually just adjust your merit aid to reflect that additional external scholarship that you receive. So I think that probably should be added to the research piece, is when you're when your student is looking at those different institutions, is whether or not they allow for stacking for external scholarships. So is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. There are some schools that do have a policy when you have an external scholarship, when the money comes in, they do not allow it to stack. They actually subtract it from the aid they're going to give or any other scholarship. So you want to know that when you're submitting the information, because a lot of schools may ask you, did you receive any other scholarships? And they're going to ask you for that information. So that is true.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point it out for parents and students just to make sure, because as they had mentioned, some of these scholarships when you're applying does take a little bit of extra work. So you just want to make sure if that is something that you're looking at, if it's going to be a big factor as additional money if the institution doesn't allow for that.
So before we go, I do want to say to the parents, this week, most of my meetings were with sophomores. And I mean, self-advocating coming, and they were great. Asking about courses, some added some courses, asking about for next semester, asking about college. I had three meetings just about college, looking at some of the publications in my office. So a lot of students in this group are very excited, and I just wanted you to know that, and a lot of good energy. So that's a great thing.
Thank you very much. And thank you again for all of the information that you shared today. And we look forward to having you join us next month. And again, if there's any other topics that any parents, guardians would like to see covered, even if you don't come back as a speaker session after a PAC session, we could probably arrange for some additional time if they have any types of questions for you.
Yeah, there's a quick takeaway for the CAC team here from the chat. I wanted to read that out. Students' parents are wanting to find out, specifically junior parents, the next step for the PSAT process for students who are with their composite score being accepted for the next round. If Manuel, yourself, or anybody from the CAC team can send those information out, that will be super helpful. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I'll make sure it's actually coming out real soon through our registrar. So I'll write that down and make sure we get that out. All right.
Okay, thank you.
And also, Maria, we did answer those. You gave us a Google Doc for those 3 questions. I have I'm gonna cut them from our own doc and add them to yours. It was 3 questions the last time I checked it on there, but the CACs went through and we answered those. So I'll add them to your Google Doc. So you guys, once again, thank you very much. We appreciate the invite, and we look forward to many more.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules.
Oh, no, glad to be here.
And answer all these questions. And I did want to mention to everyone, because I did forget to mention it earlier, is that our speaker session for next month is going to be Sue Fricano, and she actually is here in the N2 space, and she will be discussing internships and how your students can look for the internships. And that is the internship program through IMSA. So that's similar to the SIR, but that is more not research-based, but if they want to do types of internships. So I hope you will join us next month for that. And she'll also be sharing if there are parents that would like to be mentors in the internship program, how to do that. So again, thank you to everyone who is joining us via Zoom and all the parents that are here. And again, thank you to the CAC team for joining us today. And I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of December, and enjoy your kids and CACs. Enjoy your time without our kids. So hopefully you get a little bit of a break too. So thank you very much, and everybody have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, everyone. Happy
Thanks,
holidays.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yep.
Thanks. Bye-bye.